You know, I have two questions. I'll start with this one. I know last week we talked about how you're kind of like everyone else now with the struggles and everything. But now that's 30 years, 30 consecutive years with either a conference regular season outright title, a conference tournament title, or a national championship. Can you try to put that streak that's still alive in perspective?
Yeah, that's a lot, huh? It is a lot. It is. It's kind of hard to fathom. Especially when you sit where I'm sitting right now and see what I'm seeing right now. It's hard to believe that we've actually done that. So, take some comfort in knowing that it wasn't always like this. And you know, it's time we stop blaming the injuries, stop blaming fatigue, stop blaming tired, you know. We are what we are. So those UConn teams that won, those other 29, the team don't live here anymore.
Second is, Mika was named a Lieberman finalist today. To her, to come from where she was at the start of the year with all the responsibility that's been put on her and to be considered one of the top 5 point guards in the country, what does that say about her as well as breaking Seaberg's record today for single season assists?
Well, given, you know, the number of minutes that she's had to play and the circumstances and, you know, how few scorers there actually are on the court. You know, it's pretty remarkable that she's been able to kind of keep it together this long. And I know she wasn't, you know, at her best, she wasn't herself today. But there's nobody that, you know, works harder and deserves it more and plays with, you know, more passion and heart. So I'm happy for her. I'm really proud of her. Whether she wins or doesn't win, you know, I don't know that any other point guard in America this year had to work under the same circumstances she did.
Geno, I know you don't want to blame fatigue, but this is 10 straight games where it's been 10 points or fewer the margin of loss or victory, and you're preparing to go best case scenario 3 games in 3 days. So how do you prepare for that given the, you know, the fatigue and the limited number of players you have?
Well, we have, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You know, so that's probably the longest stretch we've had between games, and I think that in of itself will help a lot. You know, but if we don't get some things fixed, you know, I don't think we'll be playing 3 games. So, could play 1, could play 2. Probably no, we could play 3, but I don't think you can blame fatigue for some of the stuff that's going on out there on the court. And these last 10 games, yeah, they've gone down to the wire, and we've had to gut them all out, and we've figured out a way to do it. There's a reason that we've been in those situations. There's a reason why the last 10 games have been the way they've been. And it has nothing to do with fatigue. You know? We used that long enough. Right? That story's, you know, that story sailed. Now it's just being held accountable for doing what you're being coached to do not what you feel like doing. Not what, feels right for you at the moment. So, I'm tired of the fatigue thing. I'm tired of we're hurt. I'm tired of all that. It has nothing to do with it. All that would keep us from running up and down really well. We run up and down pretty good. We don't think very well. We don't speak on defense. We don't communicate. That's got nothing to do with tired or being injured. It has to do with a lot of selfishness and a lot of, you don't want to change. This is who you are and you don't want to change. Which is fine. Like Carl brought up, we won 30 Big East championships or national championships within 30 years. It's always been one of those years. So, and we've done it with a cast of characters that changes all the time. So, you have to have the right cast of characters. Mentally, forget the physical part or any of the other stuff. Mentally.
Geno, you've talked about before, like you stopped like being able to expect what was going to happen in a game, right? Like you're playing Xavier, hasn't won a game in the Big East year. It's senior night, tonight should have been easy, right? But that's not the script that got put out there tonight.
No, it's not. And Xavier is a lot better than our guys wanted to give them credit for. That's how immature they are. They want to get ready for DePaul because they think DePaul's really good. But they could care less about Xavier because Xavier, isn't supposed to be any good. They look pretty good to me out there today. So it's when you're playing great, the ball's going in the basket, every ball bounces your way, everybody's in sync, everybody's communicating, and you look like a real well-oiled basketball team. You would think when, you're on a team where these guys have played so many minutes together and been on the court so much together, that there will be a better flow and a better communication, and we'll have shoot around today and everything will go exactly the way I wanted it to go. And we were all set with the game plan and everything. Then you show up at the game and 20% of it happens. So obviously, the players ain't what they used to be. And the coaching ain't what it used to be either. I don't think we coach these guys as well as we coach some of the other guys. And that's evident when you watch us play on the floor. That we look like a poorly coached team. And that's, me, my staff. Yep.
Geno, AZ's incremental progress as we're back in warm-ups. I know if you're able to get her back in the lineup in the postseason, do you have a sense for what to expect from her? Last year, everyone saw Paige make this triumphant return.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people will think, well, AZ will come in and drop 25 or 30 in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 and everything will be fine. Wondering what you think of that potential. If that's unfair, unrealistic, realistic.
I don't think, it's realistic to think that somebody could miss that much basketball and come in and be the player that they were right off the bat. If you remember last year, Paige played, I think, 2 games. And then we went to the Big East tournament and we didn't look as good with her out on the court for stretches at a time because she wasn't 100%, she wasn't sharp, and the kids have gotten pretty comfortable playing together, and we had a pretty good rhythm to the flow of what we were doing. And now you're trying to add somebody, late in the game. So between physically being ready and between incorporating into the scheme of things on the team, it's not going to be an easy transition if it does happen at all, But at the same time, if it does happen, it's better than if it doesn't happen. Having AZ available is way better than not having her available. I've lived that already.
Aubrey and Aaliyah, they combined that run in the second quarter to really turn things around for you guys. What more do you want to see out of those two going forward in the postseason now with Dorka kind of silent with her ankle?
Well, I think every player on our team is it's like a double-sided coin. Every single player on our team. When they're good, they're really, 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 really good. And when they're bad, they're atrocious. As you saw, some of the plays that were made. I don't know that's a way to go forward that's going to lead you to being successful. The inconsistency is probably the biggest disappointment. That for long stretches you could look like the best player in the country, and then for stretches you look like you've never played basketball before. And most teams that aspire to win championships at a real high level, when they're good, they're really good as a team and as individuals. And on bad days, they drop down to here. And this team, when we're good, we're really good. And when we're bad, we're down here. Can't see them. I don't recognize them. So,
when you talk about them being selfish or just not making intelligent plays, smart plays, or communicating, is it more about passing up good shots? Is it not making the extra pass to get somebody
No.
open? What are they doing
Nope.
wrong?
Nope, it's not about that. It's about, I just told you to take this and put it here. And you take this and put it over here. It's about that. It's about me saying, take this and put it here. And you nodding your head yes. And then you go and you pick it up and you put it over here. And you look at me going like, well, what did I do wrong? So it's not about shot selection or are we screening well, are we not screening well. Those are the end results. Those are the byproducts of what happens when you listen and you pay attention and you focus in on what's being said and what you're being asked to do. So that's been the biggest struggle. So when I say selfish, I don't mean like they won't pass the ball to somebody that's open or, they'll take a horrendous shot. I'm talking about like they pick and choose when they want to listen to how they're being coached. And I define that as being selfish. That you only care about what you want to do, not what you're expected to do. And I could see it once, twice, 3 times. There's players on our team that for 5 months have been watching film after games and have seen themselves in the same clips over and over and over and over and over and over again. And nothing changes. Like I said, the coaching ain't what it used to be.
Dorco sat out today with the ankle sprain. Just how do you think her presence, her absence was kind of felt for every game, and do you expect to have her back for the Big East tournament?
Well, she said the reason she sat out was so she could be ready for the Big East tournament. So I would expect that she's going to be ready for that. Whether or not she would have made any difference, Dorca's, one of the main, cogs in our program right now. And certainly, it would have been helpful to have her presence out there in a lot of ways, no question. And we knew we were going to miss her, but not to the extent that I think we did.
Geno, we're kind of at the end of a long journey here, and I know there's also long stretches of this journey where you really did like the way your team carried itself, it seemed like. Do you think now into March, into the postseason tournament play, it could be as simple as recognizing what the moment needs for them to turn it around? All the things you've just been critical of them for, can this be turned around quickly?
Can it? Sure.
Are you optimistic that?
No, sure, it can. It can. But it takes a collective mindset in the locker room of this is what we're going to do, and everybody buying in. And you guys have heard this phrase a lot. When the coaches have to do everything for the players, it can only last so long. At some point, the coaches have very little control over what happens. And the players now have to understand that what we're trying to teach you is how to coach yourself on the court through situations. Something happens, there's a mix-up, and you coach yourself and your teammates and you talk, and the next time it's fixed. Well, you don't give up the same layup 3 times in a row when you're anxious to fix something. You're just not. So, I think Nika tries, but somewhere along the line, maybe after the South Carolina game, we lost our way individually, players, and then you would have like great performances by individuals, but not 3 in a row. You'd have somebody play great Monday, but be awful Thursday, and then be pretty good on Saturday. It's no way to live. It's no way to live like that. Whereas I thought, early on, we were getting a good blend, a good mix where, we had 4 or 5 guys in double figures, everybody was touching the ball, we were moving, we were just flowing off each other, we were paying attention to each other, we were communicating, we were in sync. And that takes a lot of work to stay like that, because it can go away like that, because you have to work to get it. And then when you stop working at it to keep it, it's gone. And now you got to work twice as hard to get it back. And, I feel bad for them in that way, in some ways, like this much. Because, these are kids that have not been I don't think they're used. I don't think they were prepared to play this many minutes under this kind of pressure and have to perform every day. So when they were coming off the bench or whatever their role was, they could afford to be good today and not so good Wednesday and be great Saturday and lousy next Tuesday. Because, we get him out and get somebody else in there and everything will be good to go. But now when you gotta do it every day, dude. And you probably weren't prepared for that. And at some point, you know, it breaks. And it's easy when you have a page out there who just puts it all together and, you know, fixes things. Or when you have an AZ out there that just makes 4 straight threes and things get fixed. But, you know, if you look at, you know, the last 10, whatever games, when Lou doesn't make outside shots, and, you know, we struggle to score points.
Vicky, Carl, and Roger, wrap it up.
Geno, with regard to Nika, you said a couple times sometimes she thinks she's like Sue Bird or Dee, and sometimes that's good and sometimes it's not so good the way she tries to make a pass sometimes. But did she come to UConn with that sense of bravado?
She was worse.
Huh?
She was worse.
She was, so she came with that sense of, you know, fierceness that she brings to the team, like she didn't.
Yeah, she's pissed that I tell her that I've never seen anybody play point guard like that. Because she says to me, she goes, "Why? I've been playing like that all my life. What's wrong with it?" Well, then keep playing like that. So, you know, when you're good, and you know, keep it simple, right? The passes are right on the money and they're perfect. And then when you try to be something you're not, or something that you think you are, not so good. So yeah.
You say that she's like the identity of the team, so part of that is good. Like you need her to be like that to a certain extent. Like
You do. You do. Absolutely. So, but I don't think I ever saw Sue or Dee miss layups like she misses. So in some ways, she's not like that. And she shouldn't be. She should be Nika. And Nika's, being Nika is really, 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 really good for us. You know, she doesn't have to be more than she is. She just needs to be steady Nika every day. And for the most part this year, she has been. You know, she's cut down on her fouls. You know, she's cut down on the silly turnovers, the mad rushes into God knows where, you know, driving into the lane and then, you know, doing this kind of stuff. You know. But it's like, you know, we're working on finishing at the rim. And she goes in there, you know, and she's not the only one. She goes in there and she like takes the ball like one-handed, like it's Kobe. She can't palm the ball, by the way. But she thinks she can just take the ball and go up there and make it do whatever she wants it to. So Nika, I don't think that's going to work in big games. She still does it. That's what I'm talking about. I like kids with confidence, but you can't think you're better than you are at certain things. You're good at certain things, you're not so good at other things. And if you do the things you're good at, then you're really good. When one of our big guys drives down the floor and throws the ball into the locker room, and you have to remind them, you're a big guy, give the ball to the guard, run the floor, get it back, and shoot a layup. No. Everybody thinks they can be everything. Me, I think whatever you're good at, you should do that all the time. Whatever you're not so good at, you should save it for the summer and get better at it. But today's world, you know, that doesn't work. You can't tell somebody don't do that. They're hurting their brand. Gonna kill their jersey sales.
We're gonna wrap up the call because we have favorite players in now.
Geno, on February 1st after the Providence game, we talked about how your team tends to play its best ball February, March, beyond. And you said then it would be hard for your team to improve. And I don't know how you think that's played out, but it's March 1st. And the eye test says you're not long for playing a lot of March, with the struggles. Can you get better enough to where March is another success for you?
What's success?
A long NCAA tournament run and a Big East championship.
What's a long NCAA tournament?
Here it's Final Four.
The way we are right now, this team, as it is right now, don't add anybody. Who we are right now, that ain't happening. They could fool me. They've been fooling me all year. I think they're gonna cut right, they cut left. I think they heard what I said, put it here, but they didn't, so they could fool me. Do you know how many players I've seen in 40 years that I've been here, plus when I was coaching at Virginia, high school, all the other stuff? You know? Parents know their kids, right? Nobody knows their kids better than their parents. You see them every day. You know their strengths, you know their weaknesses, you know their faults, you know their insecurities, you know everything. And I think probably in today's world, every coach coaches like this. Yes, we got it right. Where the expectation was for the longest time, it was going to be right. Yeah. I knew I should have got on that plane with Stewie in 2016.